The Amityville Haunting, USA. 28 days inside a house that swallows people. Full script. SFX. Soft whistling wind, river water lapping, a clock ticking. There are houses that aren't just places to live. They're places that keep people. They keep you with fear. They keep you with obsession. They keep you with something you can't see, but you can feel it clearly, like it's breathing right behind your neck. That house is at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. It's a beautiful house, but the kind of beauty that feels like the beauty of a trap. One. The 1974 massacre night. An unnatural silence. November 13th, 1974. The town of Amityville is asleep. No one hears screaming. No one hears footsteps running. But inside that house, 6 gunshots ring out. The next morning, police open the door and step inside. The smell of gunpowder still lingers, and what they see is something they will never forget for the rest of their lives. 6 people, the entire DeFeo family, dead in their beds, faces pressed into their pillows. The impossible part is, no one fought back, no one ran, no one even sat up. They died as if they had been ordered to stay still, as if the house itself had locked their souls in place. Police arrest Ronald DeFeo Jr., the oldest son. In the interrogation room, he's shaking uncontrollably. Then suddenly he looks up, eyes empty, and he says something that makes the whole room go cold. "It told me to do it." The voices in the house. If I didn't kill, it would kill me. From that moment on, 112 Ocean Avenue becomes a cursed name. Two, 1 year later. The house is cheap because it needs a new owner. A year passes, and the house is still standing there, silent, like it's waiting. Then the Lutz family appears. George Lutz, a man who wants a new life. Kathy, a gentle wife. 3 children. A realtor takes them through the house. As they pass the staircase, Kathy asks, "Something happened here, didn't it?" The realtor goes quiet for a few seconds, then answers softly, "A massacre. The whole family." Kathy shivers, but George smiles. That's in the past. And that sentence sometimes becomes an invitation. They sign the papers, and the moment George holds the key, Kathy feels as if the house has just exhaled. Three. Moving day. The dog won't cross the threshold. On moving day, the dog walks up to the front door. Then it freezes. It growls. Its fur stands on end. It stares into the dark hallway as if it can see someone standing there, already waiting. George tugs the leash. "Come on, get inside." The dog doesn't move. It whimpers like it's begging. Kathy has to carry it in. But the moment she sets it down, it bolts upstairs, crawls under the bed, and trembles. No food, no water, just shaking. Kathy starts to feel uneasy, because animals always sense what humans try to deny. Four. Night 1. Knocking inside the walls. Thunk, thunk, thunk. The first night, George wakes up. He hears knocking. Not on the door, not on the floor, but knocking from inside the wall. George presses his ear to it. The knocking stops instantly, as if it knows he's listening. George barely has time to breathe out when a rough whisper rises from the darkness. Don't sleep. George turns to Kathy. She's sleeping peacefully. But George isn't, because he knows he isn't imagining it. This house just spoke to him. 5. 3:15 a.m. The hour the house wakes up. Day 2. George wakes at 3:15. Day 3. Still 3:15. Day 4. Not a minute off. George begins to fear sleep, because when that hour comes, he wakes up like something is pulling him out of himself. The air turns freezing, as if someone has opened a door for something to enter. He steps into the hallway, looks down the stairs. The living room is black as ink, but he has a feeling, a clear, heavy feeling, that down there, someone is standing and looking up. George calls softly, "Kathy?" No answer. But from downstairs comes a tiny sound. A giggle, like a child, but twisted, not natural. Six. The Red Room, where the house hides its hunger. On the 7th day, George goes down to check the basement. In the darkest corner, a small door is hidden. He pulls it free. It opens. A sour, rotten smell rushes out. Inside is a tiny room. The walls are painted red, but the kind of red that looks like dried blood. And the walls are covered in scratches, deep, dense, as if someone clawed until their fingernails tore away. George shines his flashlight. In the corner, there's a small shape crouched down. George freezes. He aims the light straight at it. The corner is empty, but the stench grows heavier. And right behind him, a whisper breathes, "Stay." George whips around. No one. But the door behind him slams shut. Click, as if someone locked it from the outside. George pounds the door. Then the basement light flickers, and he hears knocking around him. Not from one wall anymore, from everywhere, as if the whole house is knocking. George screams. Finally, the door bursts open. He races up the stairs like he's escaping hell. But from that day on, George starts to change. 7. Jodie, the child's friend, the adult's nightmare. Melissa starts talking to her doll. She calls it Jodie. Kathy asks, "Who are you talking to?" Melissa answers calmly, "Jodie." Jodie says, "Mommy shouldn't go into the basement anymore." Kathy goes rigid. That night, Kathy wakes with a feeling of being stared at. She opens her eyes, and the doll is sitting upright on a chair across from the bed. Its eyes are wide open, staring straight ahead. Kathy swears she never brought it downstairs. The bedroom door is closed. No one walked through. So who placed it there? Kathy steps closer, but the moment her hand touches the doll, a child's voice whispers right by her ear. "It doesn't like you." Kathy jerks her hand back. In the darkness, there's a giggle. But Melissa is still asleep upstairs, and that giggle isn't a child's giggle. It sounds like something pretending to be a child. Eight. Climax 1. 6 people are standing around the bed. Heartbeat rising, the air thickening. Day 15. George barely sleeps. His eyes are red. He's losing weight. He becomes suddenly cold and irritable. One night, Kathy wakes up. George is standing by the window, not moving, staring down into the yard. Kathy asks, "What are you doing?" George turns. His voice is hoarse, slow. "Do you hear it?" Kathy swallows. "Hear what?" George points toward the bedroom across the hallway. "There's someone in there." Kathy trembles. "That's impossible." George opens the door. The room is pitch black. He flips the light on, and Kathy's breath stops. On the bed, there are dents, like someone has just been sitting there. Not one dent, but many. As if several people were sitting on the bed at the same time. George steps closer, and suddenly, the room turns ice cold. Kathy looks up at the mirror. In the reflection, 6 people are standing around the bed. Their faces are pale. Their eyes are wide open. They stand motionless like statues. But in the mirror, they're staring straight at Kathy. Kathy screams and spins around. The room is empty, but whispers slide in from every direction. Together, together, together. George stands still. He murmurs like he's hypnotized. "We have to stay." Kathy slaps George hard across the face. He jolts like waking from a trance. Kathy drags him out of the room, and behind them, there's laughter. Not a child's laughter anymore, but deep, heavy laughter, like the belly of the house is shaking with joy. Nine. Climax 2. The priest comes to bless the house and is driven out. Kathy is terrified. She calls a priest. He arrives, with holy water, with a crucifix. The moment he steps inside, the temperature drops. He looks around and whispers, "This isn't right." He walks toward the staircase. Before he can step up, a whisper falls from upstairs, clear as if someone is standing right there. "Get out." The priest stops. Then he continues and begins to pray. And right then, a blast of freezing air crashes down. An upstairs door slams. Bang! Lights flicker. Black marks appear on the wall like scorch stains. The priest raises the crucifix and prays louder. Then a voice erupts, not from any person, but from the house itself. "You have no right." The priest stumbles back. His face drains white. He turns to Kathy. "Leave, now. Don't stay here." Kathy asks, "But what is it?" The priest only says one thing. "Something has been here a long time." and it doesn't want to be taken away. Before he leaves, he looks back at the staircase, and in his eyes is real fear. Not fear of ghosts, but fear of something even faith can't reach. Climax 3. Night 28. The car won't start. The doors lock. The house won't let them go. Night 28. Kathy wakes to the sound of footsteps running across the ceiling. But the ceiling is the roof. There's no floor above. The running continues. Thud, thud, thud. Like something crawling. Kathy bolts upright. She hears the children crying in the next room. She runs out. The kid's door won't open. Kathy pounds it. "Open! It's Mom!" From inside comes laughter. Not her children's laughter. The door suddenly cracks open with a sharp snap, and Kathy sees the kids huddled in the corner, shaking, pointing at the closet. The closet door slowly swings open, but inside is darkness like a deep pit. And a whisper hisses, "Your turn." Kathy scoops the children up and runs downstairs. George is already there. His face is chalk white. He says, "Go, now." Right then, the front door slams like someone locked it. Click. George yanks the handle. It won't open. He pounds on the windows. The glass trembles, but it doesn't break. As if the house has turned every exit into a wall. At the top of the stairs, a black shape appears, standing still, faceless, but heavy enough to make the whole house feel like a boulder is pressing down on it. A voice speaks, slowly. "Stay." George grabs the kids and runs to the garage. They jump into the car. George twists the key. Hurt. Nothing. He tries again. Nothing. He stomps the gas. Nothing. George screams, "No! No! No!" The black shape draws closer to the garage door. It doesn't walk. It just appears closer. The garage door shudders as if something is pounding from inside. Kathy clutches the kids and cries, "Please, please." George turns the key again. Then, boom, the engine catches. The car starts, but at that exact moment, the headlights die, and in front of the hood, a pale shape appears. A face, white, eyes deep and black. It stares straight at Kathy and smiles. George screams and floors it. The car bursts out of the garage, tearing through snow. They flee Amityville. No bags, no belongings, no looking back. Only the wind behind them, sounding like laughter following them down the road. The ending. The house doesn't die. It only waits. The Lutz family lives there for exactly 28 days. Then they leave. Some people say they made it up. Some say it was for money. But there's one thing you can't fake. The feeling of standing inside a house and knowing for sure you're not the only thing living there. 112 Ocean Avenue is still there, still standing, still being bought, still being moved into. But the ones who stay long usually don't say much. Only a few people ever let something slip that sometimes, late at night, they hear knocking inside the walls. Thump, thump, thump. And if you wake up, look at the clock, and it's exactly 3:15 a.m. Listen very carefully, because maybe You didn't wake up on your own. Maybe the house just called you awake. And if one day you see a house that's too beautiful and too cheap, remember this: nothing is ever cheap without a reason.